Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph. So this week I wanted to take you through a realistic reading week. I say realistic because upon starting this clip, I realized this is actually Thanksgiving week. So this is more like realistically me reading during a holiday week. Will I get a lot of reading done? Probably not, because Christine and Mo are gonna be coming over and they're gonna be spending the night and we're gonna be cooking dinner together and hanging out. And I think the next day we'll probably end up going to breakfast or brunch or whatever. So I'm probably not gonna read that much on Thanksgiving Day. So I'm currently 20% into Trust of the Emerald Sea. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna be talking that much about Trust of the Emerald Sea simply because I am going to be reviewing it in depth for another video, but I will tell you that I'm 20% in and the writing is a big struggle for me. I'm enjoying the adventure portion of it. I really like Trust as a character, but the writing, it's just making me feel like I'm reading a book. And I know that sounds silly, but you know when you're reading a book, especially a book like Trust of the Emerald Sea, where it's like a grand adventure that this girl is going on, you want to feel like you are also on that grand adventure. And because of the writing, it's really, really hard for me to feel like I am in this book. They're great adventures, they're exciting adventures, but the writing style is just not working for me. But I know that this has been well received, so maybe I'm the problem. But I do like purple prose, I do like whimsy. So I don't know, I'm just struggling, I'm reading at it. So I kind of want to start something else, which is why I think I'm gonna pick up Notes on an Execution. And I may start, let me grab it, The Will of the Many, because this has been a 5-star prediction since I heard about it earlier this year. I just really feel like this could be a new favorite fantasy series for me. This is the start of a new fantasy. This author wrote the Lycanus series, which the first book is called The Shadow of What Was Lost. I haven't read that yet, and I'm a little intimidated by it now because it's been so compared to Wheel of Time, and I didn't really enjoy Wheel of Time. This is what I'm in the mood for, and I keep putting it off to try to find the perfect time to read it, and I feel like I should just read it because it is in the top 20 of the Goodreads nominees. There is a chance that it'll be in the top 10. I don't personally think it will be because this isn't that well known of an author. I don't think that many people have actually read this year, even in the book community. So I think it's a stretch to say that this could make it to the top 10, but what if? Anyway, this is also a realistic week in reading for me because I am all over the place with reading. It's why I don't really make TBRs, because I'll make a TBR and I'll be really excited about the TBR and then something like this happens. Anyway, The Will of the Many. I'll probably be picking this up this week too. Hello, so I just had my lunch break, and on my lunch break I read like 50 pages. I think that puts me at 30% into Trust of the Emerald Sea. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm having kind of a better time with it now. I don't know if I've just gotten used to the writing or what's going on, but I'm having a better time. So anyway, I have to go to work and it's kind of a slow week, obviously. So I might be able to read while I'm on the desk today, but I will definitely update you this evening. Hello, good morning, I just woke up. So yesterday, I didn't get to update you when I got home because we're still unpacking our house and our kitchen has been kind of a disaster. We've been waiting on a few pieces for the kitchen so that we can like organize. So as soon as I got home, Jared wanted to run to the store to grab a few things. And then we were organizing our kitchen. So because of that, I didn't read as much as I had anticipated. I read the most on Mondays and Tuesdays, I feel. Tuesdays, it's because I close at work. So I actually go into work 3 hours later than I normally would on an average day, but I obviously get off 3 hours later too. And then Mondays, it's just, they're kind of slower days for me. I don't know know if it's because I have Sunday scaries. I always wake up really early on a Monday, so I'll kind of just like lay in bed and read. And then at work on the downtimes, I have a lot more time to read. So yesterday I did get to read a little bit. I started This Court So Cruel and Lovely. I'm pretty sure that's the full title. And I'm really liking it. I'm not far. I'm like 5% into it. That's literally the amount that I was able to read at work. The whole reason I started it was because I really do want a fantasy romance, and I did want to read some of the Goodreads choice nominees for the romantasy category. So I was actually excited to see this one on the romantasy list because I've had it checked out on KU for a while. So I just started it, and I'm really liking the writing so far. I'm very interested in the world building and the magic system. So this morning, because I do go in late, I try to get some chores done. So I'm gonna do some laundry, and I'm gonna finish setting up the guest bedroom because the roomies will be here for Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure they're spending the night, so I need to get that room ready for them. So I'm gonna do that this morning, and I'll probably just be listening to Trust of the Emerald Sea because I don't have This Court So Cruel and Lovely on audio. So I'm still trying to get my clothes situated in this new house. Mainly I need to get like a closet organizer because the shelves in my closet are too high and I can't really reach them without a stool. So I'm still trying to figure out some things, like the fact that I have all of this on the floor. This weekend we actually grabbed the last load of clothing and like cleaning supplies at our old house, and so I'm going to organize that and put it in my closet. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna read. I'm actually 45% into Trust of the Emerald Sea. I try so hard to be something you want. And it's a curse or a consequence of some last line of defense. I try so hard to be something you want. I just hope that someone else can make this stop. 'Cause I think I'm turning around. Oh, it's time to stop. Okay, I just finished getting ready for work, and surprisingly, I still have another load of laundry to do. But I did want to update and let you know that I am almost 70% into Trust of the Emerald Sea. I mean, I'm actually 68% to be precise. Still enjoying it. Not my favorite thing. I've definitely gotten used to the writing at this point, but it's still not like my favorite thing in the world. But at work, it's a slow day. Today's gonna be a slow day. Tuesdays are always very slow. There is a potential that it'll be busy and I won't be able to read as much, but if it's not, then I'll be continuing with The Court So Cruel and Lovely. I have not double checked that name. I'm pretty sure that's the name. I did realize something today though. I have like 3 obligation reads that I need to get through, and this always happens to me where I'm like, I have more time in the month than I actually do. I don't have that much time, and I need to read 3 books by the end of this month / beginning of December. Yes, so there's a potential that I'm gonna have to once again change up TBR. But since it is a holiday week, I think I'll do notes on an execution if I don't just continue The Court So Cruel and Lovely. I got myself in a little bit of a conundrum, but this is very realistic. This is a very realistic week in my life because my reading changes from one second to the next. If I see somebody talking about a book that seems really interesting and what I'm in the mood for, I have the potential to change what I'm reading. It's toxic. It's toxic, it's my toxic trait, it's my red flag, if you will, or beige flag. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with as I'm heading into work. But hopefully, like I said, I will have some time to read at work since I anticipate that it's gonna be a bit slower. feeling that great today, so this is a very late check-in. It is almost 10. I'm about to go to work, and I have been reading this morning actually, and I read a lot yesterday. I just have really horrible cramps, so I have been just laying around. I have my heating pad on hand, I have a bunch of snacks on hand, and I have been reading. Also, okay, so I have this Kindle case. I would get up and show you, but I really don't feel like it. So I have this Kindle case, and you've probably seen it in B-roll footage, but I don't know if you can really tell. It basically hooks onto the back like a normal case, but there's like a cover that goes over the top. And the thing is, I don't really like it. Like the edges are fraying. It's very plain. You can't really add a pop socket on the back of it because of the material that I chose. It wouldn't like stick properly. I decided to treat myself because I'm very much in that kind of mood, which is not great for me. I decided to treat myself to one of those clear Kindle cases and a pop socket. And I'm so excited. It'll be here on Friday. I definitely want to add stickers. I have like a whole thing of stickers that I haven't been able to use on like anything. So I'm excited to finally do something with my Kindle that's like a little more aesthetically pleasing. I've seen it all over TikTok, Instagram, on BookTube, and I've really been wanting to do it, so I finally did it. I've been really indecisive about the pop socket, and you know what's so annoying is when you get a pop socket that you're like really satisfied with, and I definitely think the one that I chose, top tier cuteness, okay? But then I saw an even cuter one after, and I was like, do I need multiple pop sockets? No, I don't, but I almost did. Anyway, that being said, because I have been getting so much reading done, I have quite a few updates for you. I have finished Trust of the Emerald Sea. I am not going to go into too much detail about it again because I am reading it for another vlog, but we'll just say, which you kind of already know, I did end up liking the second half much more than the first half. And so I'm pleasantly surprised by the ending and my feelings on the ending. Secondly, I am like 45% into A Court So Cruel and Lovely. I feel like I'm getting the title wrong every time, but you know what? I have my cell phone with me this time. A Court This Cruel and Lovely, not So Cruel and Lovely. I'm 45% in, and I hadn't really given you a synopsis or an update of it because at the time I hadn't read enough to give a proper synopsis, but at this point I'm almost 50% in. I can definitely tell you more about this book. I can also say that this was such a quick read. Yesterday at work was very slow because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and obviously, maybe not obvious, but we don't do a lot of programming around the actual holiday. We'll do like holiday programming, but we don't do them super close to the holiday because why would you come to a program that's like the day before Thanksgiving? So we don't have like a ton to do. And I was like, whatever, I'm gonna read. And boy did I, because I read like 25% overall yesterday at work. So what a time to be alive. But I am really enjoying A Court This Cruel and Lovely. It is a really fun time. I mean, it started off with a bang and then it just continued. Like the pacing is, I don't want to say it's breakneck because I definitely don't think it's breakneck, but it was just like exactly what I needed. We always have something interesting happening. We always have some sort of reveal or world building moment that's very intriguing for me. So at the beginning of this book, you meet our main character, Priska. I think that's how you say it. I haven't really been listening to the audio, but I did find it on Hoopla. So if you are looking for this audiobook and you don't want to buy it, it is on Hoopla. I listened to like a second of it when I was driving home from work, and I thought her name was like Prisha, but it's Priska. So that's her name. But we have a main character named Priska, and when we meet her, she is in the town square, and she's witnessing this ceremony that happens every year for people who turn 25. They basically get sparks of their magic back. And we learn through this ceremony that there are fae who hunt and kill humans, and the gods protect humans by protecting their borders. But the only way that the gods continue to protect the humans is if the humans sacrifice their magic that they're born with in infancy. So the theory is that when a child is born, then the gods take their magic, and by the time they're 25, the gods give back a little spark of their magic. Not full magic, but a little spark of their magic. But the caveat to this is if a child is found to have their full magical abilities, they are corrupted and they get killed along with their family. We see in the ceremony that there is a girl in the town who has her full magical abilities, but it was a type of magical ability that wasn't extremely noticeable, so she actually had no idea that she had magic. magic, and you witness her and her family getting killed. This really shakes up Priska because she actually does have her full magical abilities, and she has spent her whole life preparing for the moment when she needed to run away. So I believe that she is 23 or 24. She's very close to this ceremony happening, and so she's talking about how she will be disappearing within the next couple of years from this town. Well, unfortunately, the plan goes awry and she ends up having to escape, and so she's now on this journey to seek protection. Along this journey, she ends up meeting this man, and he is our love interest. What's interesting about him is that I also don't know how to say his name, but I believe it's Lorien. So Lorien, like I said, is the love interest, and what's interesting about their relationship is that Priska has actually been dreaming about him, and she didn't know who he was, but she has had continuous dreams about him for, I think it's been over a year at this point. So when she meets him, she's very confused about why she's been dreaming of him. He seems to have no recognition of her, so it's not as if these dreams are mutual by any means, but he does try to leave her for dead after they find her in the river. He basically is like, you can fend for yourself. We know that Lorien is on his own journey that is fairly vague in the beginning, but he is so determined to be on this journey and get his revenge, as he says, that he leaves her for dead because he doesn't have time to save a woman who is going to die anyway. And so Priska is very determined that once she figures out how to save herself and how to save her family, she's going to seek revenge on Lorien. I just really like this story. I don't know what it is that's like so engrossing about it, other than like the pacing is great and I like our two characters a lot. Lorien, like many male love interests, is very sarcastic, very brooding, very grumpy, and Priska is very feisty and she's just trying to survive. She can be very smart in some ways and very dumb in other ways, and I really enjoy seeing that in a character. It makes them feel very well rounded and like not everything comes easy to them. Also, I'm extremely interested in certain plot points that I'm not sure where they're going at this point. Like, for example, we don't fully know Priska's background. We had sort of a revelation that's happened with her, and I'm curious if we'll get more of that information in this book or if it'll be in future books. On top of the fact that the Fae are mentioned. The Fae are mentioned heavily because obviously Priska is in this predicament because the gods never fully took her magic, right? And the whole reason they take the magic is to protect them from the Fae. But we don't really know, like, are the gods really taking the magic to protect them from Fae, or are the gods the corrupt people here and the Fae actually aren't corrupt? It's such an interesting thing to think about because we have really no clue about the Fae. We have no clue about the gods. We only know what the characters know at this point, and I really am enjoying that. I'm very curious about what's going to happen with the Fae, if we even meet the Fae, or if they'll continue to just be a background aspect of this book. I don't really know, but I'm having a great time, and I actually feel like I could finish this book tonight. Hopefully I can. I do have the audiobook now too, so if I have to do certain things around the house, which I will, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, you know, we are having a friendsgiving. We just moved in, so we're still like working out a lot of things here. We're working out a lot of different things here. So I will be cleaning up a bit. We have to go grocery shopping. I'm so just annoyed with myself for leaving it till the last minute, but time just really got away from me. So yeah, after I finish a court this cruel, a court this cruel and lovely, I will either be picking up Empire of Storms, which is more likely, or Notes on an Execution, less likely. I'm very much in my fantasy romance mood. I will keep y'all updated.
Oh, it's so but it's just begun. And there's something on the tip of your tongue. Don't stay quiet. Things that we keep. You're
Happy Thanksgiving house on Thanksgiving 23.
Get to see it's the way you tried to keep it uptight, leave it behind.
Let me close this window. I closed the window, but I feel like you're still gonna be able to hear everything going on in the street. But anyway, I'm getting ready for the day. We are headed to Santa Barbara because one of my best friends from back home, he is visiting his mom in Santa Barbara. So we decided that we were gonna take a little day trip there to visit him. I think it's like 2 hours away from us, but you know, that's just what you do for your besties. I wanted to quickly update you because yesterday was Thanksgiving. We hung out with the roomies. They came over. We all cooked a lot of food. It was great seeing them. They were gonna spend the night, but Christine's shifts got switched, and so she had to work at 7 a.m. and I was like, you should go home so that you don't have to feel like weird and feel scattered when you go to work, because I know when I go to work really early, the last thing I want to do is spend the night at somebody's house and feel frazzled the next day. But it was a really fun time. We watched a movie. I can't even remember what it's called. Apparently it was a book adaptation. I'll have to pop it up right here if I can find it. It wasn't good. It was not good. But you know, we had fun watching it and making commentary. But Mo said she's gonna read the book, so I'm excited to see how she feels about the book, because maybe I'll read it. Speaking of reading, yesterday I read so much more than I anticipated, so I ended up finishing A Court This Cruel and Lovely. I hate that title. Yesterday, I ended up reading 40% of that book because by the time I ended Wednesday, I was at like 60-something%. So I read the rest yesterday and I ended up giving it 4 stars. Here's the thing. There is a lot of predictability. But I had fun. I had so much fun. Like, I'm sure you could call the twists from a mile away, but I was so invested in just like being along for the ride that the twists were exciting for me. And I like the enemies to lovers aspect of it. I think my only critique of this, like real true critique, is that the pacing felt a little bit off when she gets into the court. So there is a scenario where she ends up being a maid and kind of wrapping herself up in court politics. So that part was fine. It was just, the pacing was really weird for it. So it wasn't my favorite part of the book. And it was such a departure from what we had been experiencing so far. So I think I was just a little thrown off. It almost felt like 2 separate books for a second, you know? And it all comes together in a way that makes sense. But like what we started out with and then getting to the court, it almost felt like the court intrigue aspect should have been the second book. But at the same time, I do think that would have been really boring. So I'm glad that it was done this way. I gave it 4 stars. I don't have that much to say about it because I think it's one of those books that's like fun to read. You're along for the ride. You really like the characters. There are a lot of characters that made me laugh. It was like reminding me of, you know, how Sarah J Maas always has like a band of brooding men who are all friends and they're sarcastic. So I ended up really enjoying this, which I'm glad. But now I've started Empire of Storms this morning because, as you know, I do need to read these by December 3rd. I mentioned that earlier. So I'm gonna squeeze in Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I was gonna tandem read them, but I've heard such mixed things about tandem reading that I'm not going to do that. So I will be reading Empire of Storms and then diving into Tower of Dawn. And by the grace of God, I hope that I finish it by December 3rd. At this point in my read, Queen of Shadows was the last book that I had read in the series previously, so it's the last reread. So now I'm going to Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, not knowing anything that's about to happen, but I've heard that Empire of Storms is a really fun time and the pacing is breakneck. So I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to this one. Also, I'm just so excited to see Lysandra and Nezrin and Rowan and Aden. I just love them. We're on our way to our old apartment and we have to clean it. So I'll likely be listening to an audiobook while we clean. It shouldn't be too bad. I've been cleaning kind of as we were packing up and getting things out of there, but there's still some heavy lifting to do. Hi, hello, we're in the old apartment because we're cleaning it. And apparently I forgot to change my address on my wish list. And it's literally the first 3 books in the Throne of Glass series. I have been slowly but surely collecting these covers, and Gabi, she just sent them all to me, and I just really love my Patreon. That's all I can say. I just really love my Patreon. Thank you so much, Gabi. The end of an era. Just finished cleaning the other house. It is done. We are done with that place, which it has a lot of really great memories and I'm gonna miss being there, but we definitely needed to leave. You know, when you're like in a place and you're fine with it and then you move on from it and you realize how it wasn't like an environment that was cultivating anything that positive for you. That's kind of what we've realized now being in this house. So it's just been a much better experience here so far, and I'm very thankful for that apartment, and I'm very thankful for all of the memories I have there and I had made there, and like I started YouTube there. So I'm definitely thankful for it and I'll miss it for that aspect. But I'm just really in love with our little house now. And as a little treat for ourselves, after doing all that cleaning, I think it was like 2.5 to 3 hours, we decided to go to the bookstore. So in that buy one, get one 50% off, I ended up getting Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, because I have just heard amazing things about this fantasy romance. And you know me, I love fantasy and I love romance and fantasies. So fantasy romance has been really fun for me to explore. I've seen Stephanie Garber all over lists for like best fantasy romance. I know this one is YA and I don't read that many YA books anymore, but I've just heard so many good things from YA readers and adult fantasy readers alike that I had to get it. So I'm excited to try this one out. I'm really hoping that I like it. I'm also excited, and the reason that this was a great time to pick it up is because the trilogy just completed. So if I like this, I could potentially marathon it. And then obviously you know that I had to get this Iris Kelly. I love the Bright Falls series. Delilah Green Doesn't Care was one of my favorite romances of last year, and it was like really what got me into contemporary romance. I ended up getting A Study in Drowning. Ava Reid and I have a very rocky past. I DNF'd The Wolf and the Woodsman, which was Ava Reid's adult fantasy debut. It just didn't work for me. I think the pacing was really off for me in that book. And then this one is technically YA and it's supposed to be dark academia, but the way that people describe it, I'm like, I need to read this. I feel like I'm gonna love it. And this cover is so stunning. She always gets really, really pretty covers, and I really, really love this one. And then the book that I surprisingly got for 50% off, I just took the sticker off, was House of Sky and Breath, which I hadn't owned a copy of simply because I wasn't sure that I was going to move on with the series since the ending was spoiled for me. So I wasn't sure that I was going to move on with the series. And then I am now part of the House of Massalong, where we're reading all of Sarah J. Maas's backlist leading up to Crescent City. So I will be reading this and the newest one in this series. So I was like, might as well get it, and it's 50% off. This is perfect. So I ended up getting this for $14. That can just go right here. There we go. But all in all, I ended up reading way more this week than I anticipated, mainly because I thought that Thursday and Friday were gonna be really, really busy and I wasn't gonna get any reading in. And as a matter of fact, Thursday, I ended up being able to finish like 50% of a book. So to wrap up a realistic week of reading during a holiday week, I ended up starting this vlog with 30% read of Trust of the Emerald Sea. So I had 70% of the book left. I ended up finishing that on Wednesday, I believe. And then I randomly started a Court This Cruel and Lovely. I read that over the course of Tuesday, Wednesday, and then finished it on Thursday, with the majority of the book being read on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Thursday night before bed, I started Empire Storms, and I have been reading that since today, which is Saturday. I'm only 9 chapters into it. So we're gonna guess that that's like 8% of the book. I grabbed the book. So that is about here, which is 104 pages. And at this point in my rereading / reading Throne of Glass, I am now at the point where I am no longer rereading any of these books. So this is my first time reading Empire of Storms, and being 104 pages in, I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the pacing. It's definitely feeling like a much more fast-paced read. There is so much that was set up in the last book, especially that we are now seeing come to fruition in this book, and I'm really nervous about where things are going in this book. And honestly, I can't believe that after this I'll only have 2 more books in this series. So yeah, that is a realistic week of reading for me. I kind of try to showcase where and when I read. I usually listen to audiobooks when I'm doing things around the house or when I have like mindless tasks that I need to do. I'm always trying to listen to an audiobook. I love audiobooks personally. I know that doesn't work for everybody. And then when I can, I'm reading on my Kindle, I'm reading physically. So I think reading looks different for everybody, right? Because I personally like to squeeze it in wherever I can, but some people have like dedicated times of reading. This week I had a weird combination of like extra time to read than I normally do, but then that extra time was sort of balanced out because days like yesterday I didn't really read at all. I'm also someone though who does have to have reading time before bed. Like I always read before bed no matter what, unless I'm in a reading slump, which also happens and also affects what a realistic week of reading would look like for me. The other realistic thing that I showcase is that what I'm reading is so all over the place. Like I will just start a random book sometimes and I'll start it and finish it and I didn't have any intentions of reading it, i.e. A Court This Cruel and Lovely. Like I shouldn't have read that this week, but I did. So if you like videos like this, let me know. I would love to do more realistic reading week. So anyway, if you have made it this far, feel free to leave an ocean wave emoji in the comments below for Empire of Storms and even a study in drowning. And I will talk to you next time, friends. Bye.